Moby Dick is a perfect example of why you should never judge a book by its cover, because based on its cover, you'd think it'd be cool and exciting. It's not. The classic American novel Moby Dick by Herman Melville was published in 1850. The movie that I'll be comparing it to is the 1956 film adaptation, widely considered to be the best film adaptation of the novel. It was directed by John Huston, and stars Gregory Peck as Captain Ahab. Moby Dick is a story of one man's self-destructive quest for vengeance, Captain Ahab's obsession with finding and killing the whale that took his leg. You might have gleaned from the intro to this video that I'm not a huge fan of this book. You'd be correct. There are a lot of people out there who consider Moby Dick to be the greatest American novel ever written. I am not one of them. Moby Dick has been dissected and interpreted and analyzed by literary scholars, much smarter than myself, for well over 100 years. If you're looking for a super in-depth analysis of this novel, you will not find it in this video. This is just the initial thoughts of an average guy who appreciates a good story. Okay, so first things first. I listened to the audiobook version of this novel, and I will say that my thoughts on the book may have been different if I had read it rather than listened to the audiobook, because I didn't really care that much for the narrator. I'm not going to name him because I don't feel like doing that, but his voice just really got to me after a while. He did this one version of the character Stubbs' voice where he just really sounded like this. I'm Stubb, and I'm blah, 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 blah. Drove me crazy. This is one of those things about audiobooks, or books on tape, books on CD. I listened to this on a CD. The narrator can make or break an audiobook, and it makes me rethink whether or not I want to continue listening to audiobooks, because I feel like sometimes if I had read instead of listened, I would have maybe liked it a little bit better. But I'm not sure that's the case with Moby Dick, because I found this book to be excruciating at times. At the beginning of this video, I mentioned that this book is not exciting at all, which might be a little harsh because it does have 135 chapters, and it does get exciting in chapter 133. So if you've read Moby Dick, you know that Melville has a very unconventional writing style in this novel. The story will be progressing, albeit at a snail's pace, when all of a sudden Melville will just halt the narrative and divert into these long scientific essays on the detailed histories of the whaling industry, or whale classifications and taxonomy, or the differences between skin versus blubber, or the various uses of blubber, or whale depictions in art throughout history. And he'll go on these tangents for chapters at a time, which maybe people in the 1850s found interesting, but my God. I would listen to this book on my way to and from work every day for a couple weeks, and I found myself I couldn't help it. I just was spacing out when those chapters were on, and it was just, even the narrator that you're introduced to in the very first line of the book, Ishmael, he seems to just kind of disappear after a certain point in the book. It's almost like Melville forgot about him and he becomes irrelevant. Okay, I guess we can talk about the film. Like I said, stars Gregory Peck as Captain Ahab, who I thought was great. I mean, Gregory Peck is one of the greatest actors of all time. He really encompassed a man possessed by a singular mission to enact his revenge.
I'll follow him around the Horn, and around the Norway maelstrom, and around perdition's flames before I give him up.
I found this movie itself to have a different tone than the book. It felt more ominous. I was actually really surprised with how good the whaling sequences in this film were. For having been filmed in 1956, it looked pretty great. It was a mix of what looked like miniatures and maybe perhaps some real footage out at sea. And it was pretty exciting, and the climax itself I found to be very entertaining. The film follows the book fairly well. It contains the funny scene where Queequeg and Ishmael share a bed. It's got the sermon scene with the preacher talking about Jonah. I thought this movie was really well done. I'm not gonna say I loved it, and I'm not gonna get into all the minute differences between the film and the book. I mean, appropriately, they cut out all of the stuff about whales and whaling, which really bogged down the book. You know, I'm probably gonna get some hate in the comments for this, but I gotta say, I liked it better than the book. Okay, have you read Moby Dick? What am I getting wrong? What is so great about it? Please let me know in the comments, or maybe you agree with me that it was an excruciatingly painful read for you too. Let me know that in the comments as well. Have you seen the film? What do you think of that? What are some differences between the book and the film that I didn't mention in this video? Comment below. Please like and subscribe if you like this video. Share it with your friends. Tell them about this channel. Stay tuned for more videos in the near future. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later.